craving more. With every sweet stride, we will arrive. We're opening the door. So here's to the grind. We'll tear it down. There's nothing that can never take down the crowd. And we will pop them down and make drum sound. There's something inside for us that's sticking around. Now watch the exhale. We fight to the death. Yeah, we fight to the death. We fight to the death. We fight to the death.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chiscool Gaming, and today I'm joined by the legendary BK to cast the Grand Prix qualifiers. Brian, how you doing this morning?
Let's go. I'm very happy to be here. Very exciting to be casting the world famous ROK Global Champions Grand Prix today.
This is a global championship. So for those tuning in to the first time, there's two group stages or sets of group stages that are happening now. One for the international servers, which is where we're going to be spectating today. And the other is for the China servers. So we're going to lock in on two teams to cover. We're also going to look at the results at the very end. So you're going to want to stick through to the end because all the matches today are happening in just a couple minutes at 14 UTC. And we're going to be spectating a 2-win versus 2-win situation. In other words, it's a win and in for beer or 75 DC. So,
Yep.
BK, you're the expert here on these teams and their backgrounds. I'd love to get your thoughts. If you have a hunch of who might win and why, or what you think we should see in this upcoming matchup.
So we were excited before the show, realizing that this was really the big match of the day, beer against 75 DC. If you win, you're in. If you lose, you're out. And I will say that even in the official ROK Discord, in the Grand Prix channel, where there are a lot of really expert Ark of Osiris players in there, they're very excited about this match. They are saying that beer versus 75 DC is looking to be a super good match here. These are two teams who are practicing quite a bit on the Grand Prix server, where you have these like great accounts and you get to practice as much or as little as you want as a team. And, with beer, I think they are the favorite here in the match. They are from Kingdom 3376. They finished second in the Osiris League in the realm of best stats. And they have looked really, really good in the Grand Prix so far. They were relatively dominant last week against OWR, winning all three mid fights just very easily. They seem to be a team that is very, very good at the mid. And they are up against 75 DC today, which was historically a Vietnamese team. But when you look at the players on this roster, there are quite a few Chinese names on this team. And if you even look at their name in the game, 75 DC, it then says Glory of Vietnam, but Glory of Vietnam is written in Chinese in their name at this point. So
Okay.
what I think what we have here, Chiz, is I think we have a group of Chinese players who are active on the international server, and they have they have assumed control of this shell team that qualified for the Grand Prix qualifiers, and they're looking very strong as the team running this shell at this point. Of course, the original 75 DC team that had a lot of success in the Osiris League, they have migrated to 2489, and they're now part of that very strong kingdom.
Okay. There's a lot going on here, and I chuckled earlier because, we're in the international servers, and I am in a GV alliance, GV 77. And
Yes.
it's a super international team. So it doesn't surprise me that here as well, you've got a bunch of people from all around the world coming together, which is a part of what makes this tournament really exciting, which we will be able to spectate in just about 30 seconds from now. So each team in the group stage, both Beer and 75DC, has won both of their matches. And this third match is going to determine, okay, like, do you advance or not? Do you think this is close? Or do you think this could be a blowout for one team?
Well, I think it comes down to whether or not 75 DC can deal with Beer in the mid game. Beer did win all 3 arcs against OWR. OWR is a common opponent for both of these teams. Beer won by about 13,000 points, whereas 75 DC won by 115 points. So, 75 DC had a lot more trouble with their common opponent, but 75 DC did win 2 out of 2 mid fights against OWR. So both of these teams have been successful in the mid game. And, one question here is, can 75 DC keep up with this incredibly strong Beer mid game? Like, you're going to be very impressed with how good Beer is in the mid. Or is 75 DC, do they have something else up their sleeve? We've seen 75 DC do really interesting stuff in the Osiris League in the past, but like I said, I think this is like a almost completely different team than the old 75 DC. So it remains to be seen if they're going to try something off book, or if they're just going to play it straight up and try to win that way.
Well, let's jump in game and let's see what they do. Here we are with 2 minutes left for the match to begin. And it's funny, when teams name themselves, this is the Beer team, they're just trying to get us to say beer over and over on stream. Is that
you know what? It rolls right off the tongue. I'm not going to lie. I haven't really even thought about it too much. Just like beer.
Is it an acronym? What is it? Are we overthinking
they used
it?
to be partly evil, Eternal Empire, right? They used to be that part of that EE team. So the EE does make sense, I think. But
okay, so actually there is an origin behind the EE. All right. Got
and then the other team, they literally stole your alliance name. When you translate this name 75 DC, it translates to either Light of Vietnam or Glory of Vietnam. But like you said, Glory of Vietnam is literally your alliance's name.
Hey, you know what? Doesn't bother me one bit. You know what's funny? Everybody's got their boat theme here. Everybody brought their ship, except presumably Rallies and Garrison's got something a little bit different cooking up, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of on DC. I see like a kind of a snowy skin here. I actually don't even recognize this skin. You might know it better than I do.
Well, I think a part of that might be a hat tip to who is rallying and who is garrisoning. And for those that, are tuning in here for the first time, this is a mode where you've got access to just about everything. I mean, you've got 5 sets of every piece of equipment in the game. You've got access to all the commanders. I mean, this is about execution. And I really love that for this version of ARC.
Absolutely. This is a very skill-based and team-based mode. I think what we have traditionally noticed as the gates kick off here is that it's really a team game that wins this. But the wrinkle that Beer is introducing in this Grand Prix season is that they're just so strong in the mid that you sort of, I mean, what is that skill? Is it teamwork, or is it just like super good mechanical skill from each individual player once they get into that mid fight?
I suspect it's a little column A and a little column B. To some extent, I bet it is individual skill in isolating the right targets. But then also as a group, I've heard of teams working really closely to focus things down. So I suspect there is a little bit of both there. Teamwork and individual execution make it happen. Here we go, baby. Sentries are starting to come down, so we're getting vision here of different parts of the map. we're looking at this from the perspective of both teams and their vision at the same time. But something that I've really loved about Arc over the last few years was that introduction of the Fog of War. In fact, I don't know, now that we've had Fog of War for like quite a while, wouldn't you say that this has really elevated the element of surprise in this game mode?
Absolutely. It's been an incredibly good change. That was a change that came a couple of years ago. All those changes were very good, adding sentries in the Fog of War. Now in this year, they've added a bunch of new skills like No March and Sun Sailor and Inferno, all sorts of interesting skills that can be used. And so they have really done good stuff with Arc. I mean, they've done good stuff with Arc of Osiris since the beginning, Chiz, I think. I mean, the first time we played this, the first week this came out in the game, didn't you think, oh, this is a great game mode?
Yeah, no, it's funny. I played one of the original arcs way back in the day, one of the very first ones. Back before, I think, yeah, it was before KVKs. We've come a
yes, I think it
long
was.
way.
Yep.
Speaking of which, we see some armies getting into the obelisks with CC to carry them there. I think the threat here is potentially an early obelisk grab. But that, I don't know. In this tournament, that's pretty unlikely, right?
So the thing that's like really strong about an early obelisk steal is that you teleport in cities that cannot possibly get dislodged.
Yeah.
So, if we've seen it in the past, I think we have seen some obelisk plays in the past, and looks like stocking up just got. This is another skill here, stocking up being cast very early by
That's
75
very
BC.
early.
Yeah, and that sort of lets us know that they're probably not going to go for an obelisk play here, but it also lets us know that, they're going to try and outskill Beer. The skill casting, they're going to try to use the skills better than Beer does and hope that gives them an advantage. We did see the OWR use stocking up very, very effectively last week against OWR.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't call this out because it didn't occur to me, but only one team used Energetic at the start, which is a pretty conventional opener, and you got 75 DC instead using stocking up. So going for a similar effect, but a different way of getting it.
Yep, definitely. And that's exactly what OWR did last week as well. They essentially replaced Energetic on the bar with stocking up. And because they did such a good job of turning in gatherers before each middle fight, last week OWR probably used close to twice as many points as Beer did. It was very, very efficient use of stocking up last week. But OWR does know this skill because they've actually used it in the past as well.
So they're committing Dust Up already. It's like a mid-fight skill before the mid-fight? Wait, what? Normally you see this, everybody's hoarding up the points for the mid-fight. Does this mean 75 DC is not trying to contest mid? They're trying to make sure they get a good opener here?
I think it means they're very confident that they're going to use stocking up before the first mid and have roughly as many skill points for that mid fight as Beer is going to have, even though they're using an extra skill right now.
Wow. Well, Beer is definitely getting sad-faced at this Desert Altar. If
Yeah,
we
that's a
look
big development right there. That's a very, very impressive win for 75 DC at that Desert Altar. Really looking strong in the open field there.
Well, it's actually both of them. And it's all attributable to the Dust Up as the differentiator, isn't it?
Dust Up makes a big deal that, makes a really big help there. I think we saw OWR use Dust Up as well early on last week, and they were nowhere near as dominant, with this early game. So I think it's partly Dust Up, but I think it also means that 75 DC is just clicking the buttons really well.
Oh, wait, Beer is at the Sky Altar. It occurred to me, maybe Beer is just somewhere else, and they are. They're hitting Shrine. They're hitting Sky on the 75 DC side of the map. So it could be that they just didn't bring as many people to those positions. So we see, okay, the Desert Altar flips both of them. What a weird twist of how this map is opening up for the territory at the start. And it is interesting to see the Shrine of Life here, because that's giving the health boost and the march speed boost. So although Dust Up will come and go, holding on to that shrine is going to give you a persistent buff, which is quite nice.
Yeah, it looks like 75 DC is bringing in quite a few troops here to try and take back this shrine. I think they're going to get the shrine back in time for the mid, and they're going to get that march speed and that health. I think the really key building here is the Sky Altar on the top side. A minute and a half left on this one, and you know, Beer is really they're keeping their field there. They're trying to apply a lot of pressure. You can see that they're not really killing themselves off here. They're just trying to fight and potentially hold this building for the next 70 seconds or so, and hopefully get that first capture bonus. And this can also just really disrupt the mid approach for either team, whichever team executes this better or worse.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a ton of sense. Normally what I would expect to see around this time is people that are in these outside lanes would be moving toward the center for the arc fight. But obviously, when all you have to do, I say, is hold this for 50 seconds more and get a surge of points, that could absolutely be worth it. And here they are swarming that Attila rally. Attila Subutai. You know, it's 2025, and we're still using Attila, baby.
This is the game mode for Cav players. This is where we shine. Usually you're going to see an Eleanor in the garrison. In this case, they have the Hera YSS in the garrison because they've got a bunch of non-cavalry here. You see a bunch of BQs in the field. You see some QSHs in the field. You see those tanky marches that are able to last a little bit longer. That's what's left here for the blue team. And they can throw any of those marches into this building. And I mean, look at how well this is working. They're going to get first capture on this Sky Altar.
And significantly, 75 DC is not looking like they're going to get first capture on the Desert Altar that's on the opposing side. So this could end up being an asymmetric result here in favor of Beer. It all comes down to this next 32 seconds, but I don't think there's anything left to support that DA, and it is gone. So that is an advantaged opener to Beer. Let's see how that influences their rotations to middle. If they're as strong as you suggested in mid, getting an advantage off rip from the buildings and then also having an advantage in the mid fight is just going to position them for a really successful game here.
Yeah, it's a very nice start for Beer. We did see 75 DC have some success. They didn't get the first capture on any of Beer's buildings, but they at least delayed the first capture. Some of the buildings still haven't been first captured by the appropriate team. So a very nice start for Beer, but also a competitive start for the red team.
That is fair. I mean, the score is still going to be very close for that opener. Once I think the dust settles, to your point, and some of these additional first capture points are put onto the board, which has not happened yet, not everywhere. Yeah, the Shrine of War is red, and now the Sky Altar has flipped to red. The weirdness there is that these marches have a long way to go if they're going to make their way to mid, and maybe they won't. Looks like they're going to push down to take Shrine of Life. That's a play that I think is pretty compelling. If you're not going to make it to mid on time, your next best thing is to give some stats to the mid fight players, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Chiz, one thing I would like you to take a look at is the outpost on the red side, on the bottom side. Just take a look at that outpost. There's going to be 3 gatherers right around that outpost. And what you're going to see stocking up, this is their setup for stocking up, is that they've got this one player. It's just one player who's gathering at this building. I believe they can, I guess they have to return it to their city, but you know, they're gonna return it before this first arc, and they're gonna get a lot of extra points for that. Because the one player has 5 sets of elite gathering gear, they can just do it themselves. One player can do all that gathering themselves, which makes it much easier to coordinate the stocking up skill.
And they are heading back now to their city, to your point. They're using Hasty Departure to try to accelerate that a little bit. special talent points that'll get you there faster. I believe it's, gosh, I can't remember the amount of time. Is it 15 seconds? 10 seconds after you leave a node? It's like a 60% boost. It's funny. I've used it for so long, I don't remember the details other than like...
it's just really good. That's all I remember.
Yeah, go in node, get speed. There's sneaky tactics. Oh boy, here we go. Desert Storm, try to counter it. Big hit with Desert Storm, but some of them get away. I'd say half made it through, half did not. So, you know, the thing is that the tail end of the... Yeah, he stopped. He turned around. Yeah, he didn't want to give away that his buddies were going the other way. So we have information here about which way they're going that's pretty important. These guys are zipping around the corner. They are invisible. So we're going to expect Beer to win the middle, given how many people just left mid for red, 75 DC. But the question is, what can they get done? Looks like they've got a rally on the Desert Altar, but I don't know that their timing is going to match with that rally.
They're a little early. The field is a little early for the rally on the Desert Altar. They can probably chill out there. But, you know, it's very notable that they're just kind of giving up this mid. They're giving up the mid, but they still have a ton of people mid. So it is like a bit of a not great approach here for 75 DC to commit that many people to mid and then have no chance of winning it. But, you know, look at just this dominance from Beer mid. Not a fair fight, but, I mean... They're so dominant that their opponent here was like afraid to even fight them. And then there's the no march. We knew that was coming. I mean, once you see the sneaky tactics and people rotating to the side, you know the no march is coming. 75 DC is going to try to get some points on the side as Beer has this major commitment to mid. And Beer is going...
No, they're going Obelisk.
Okay.
They're going Obelisk.
I mean, there is some teleport space there. They can teleport some cities in.
I don't know. Okay, let's play this out.
I don't know.
Let's play this out. We play it out, buddy. So, let's say they get this obelisk, and they teleport in cities around it, and they hold this obelisk for the rest of the match, let's say. Or in the very least, they've got cities there for the rest of the match. Do they win if they do that? Is that like an auto win for them?
It's not an auto win. They will have more teleports, though, outside of the home zone, right? They'll have a little bit more teleports. Essentially, they're going to be denying Beer some teleports, but they do have to hold this thing for a minute. You do see the power of No March reducing the capture time so significantly here. They will probably get this. There was no rally. It was just a pure swarm that worked out very well. They do not automatically win. I don't think they automatically win, but this is a very good play by 75 DC. Super high value, very profitable, massively increases their win chance here, I think, Chiz.
No garrison captain. I mean, they're giving an arc to get an obelisk.
Yep.
And they paid a big price in points to do it. So this, you know, they're going to be at a huge disadvantage for skills that they can use. But they have only 15 seconds. Honestly, the only weirdness here is look at these guys in the field. They're goofing around, blocking all the teleport spots. They know exactly what's happening. So they're just going to try to stop it. Here's the capture. Okay, let's see those TPs, baby.
If they can block just about every spot and they only and 75 DC can only get in like one or two cities, then like what are those one or two cities gonna do, right? But there's two already. They've already gotten two.
There's three. I don't know. They might get this. They need more though, and this player Hester and typically nobody. They're doing a great job stopping those teleports right now, and just jamming up this field is all that needs to happen. Now, 75 DC is running out, and you know maybe these three players can cause enough disruption, but they want to teleport in more ideally, and just really smart positioning from Beer is preventing that from happening.
Yeah, super good reaction as far as blocking the teleports. It's still, you know, it's still a nice little bonus here for 75 DC to get those extra teleports, get those more players out on the field But yeah, 3 cities against about 8 or 9 monster cities. They're just going to be a disruptive force. They're just going to be very annoying over here. They might be able to flip the Obelisk a few more times, slow down the teleport generation for Beer. They must have had this planned. They must like the result. They got the objective they wanted, and it'll be interesting to see how this thing works out. Beer does have about a 4,000 point lead, and they have already returned the first arc. I think, Chisgo, one thing this means is that 75 DC is really not going to go for too many arcs, because this really does hurt your arc game, because these 3 players will like never get to middle.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this. What I do think is that these 3 players for the rest of the game can force pressure onto this Obelisk, and I think that's what they have to do, because as you just described, they're not going anywhere else. Not easily. At 460 million power, though, I mean, they got troops to burn, right?
Oh yeah, they're not getting rid of these cities. And Chisel, just zoom out and look at how many cities are in the start zone for both teams. We're gonna have to judge this on 2 metrics. Number 1, the score, and number 2, how many cities get teleported forward by both teams, right? Like if they, like you say, they can annoy this Obelisk and they can stop the teleport generation and slow down the teleport generation for quite a long time. If they can do that, then it does help their win condition as the underdog here. So I think this is like pretty good here. I think this is pretty good for 75 DC, but certainly no kind of a home run play here.
Yeah, I think if they had gotten in more cities, it would have been really compelling. But they did get in cities. And it's enough cities to be dangerous. Not enough cities to be scary, but enough cities to be dangerous. And I think you called out well that like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cities in the starting area for Beer still.
Yep.
And we see only 2 for DC.
Yep, and 75 DC has the Desert Altar on that top side. They're getting more points per minute right now. They're down 3,000 after with the arc being returned, but they do have an advantage on this top side now. They've simply got more people close to the fight on this top side, and it's just really going to annoy the crap out of Beer for the rest of the match, I think. Just not being able to play exactly like they want to play. For Beer, they're just counting down the minutes until that next mid fight because they're going to feel really good about the next mid fight, and they just want to just return a lot of arcs in this match.
I think that's exactly it. And I like that they scored the arc right away, because if there's shenanigans afoot and you've got the strongest mid fight in town, you got to take as many mid fights as you can, get as many arcs as you can, right?
That's the name of the game for Beer here. They're gonna have trouble on this top side. You know, look, they're trying to take back this Desert Altar. The Attila Subutai rally is just getting evaporated. The very light field that Beer has is getting evaporated here. These are all players from the home Obelisk of 75 DC, and they're just having a field day while their 3 teammates here try to annoy the crap out of the Beer army.
Yeah,
I don't know what this guy's doing exactly, but you know, he is hiding in the trees quite well.
Well, I was going to suggest they could take outposts, right? Like if they're pestering the outposts, and let's say best case they could flip all 3 of them, you're disrupting 90 points per minute at best. Or I guess at worst. At best, you'd be, you know, gaining 90 points per minute for yourself, but I don't know that that's going to happen. I do really appreciate the disruption of the flow of the battle that this can cause. I do wonder if it's enough, right? Like making people have to walk further, that is a meaningful penalty. Being able to prevent people from going where they're trying to go, it is a meaningful penalty. And if done well, 75 DC has planned for this all along, whereas Beer has to figure out how to react to it on the fly.
Yeah, and look, if these players, I think it's a really good call out that they were probably going for the outposts. If those 3 players can just really harass those outposts and flip those outposts from time to time, that's going to be very good value. I think that's almost better than like trying to flip the Obelisk over and over again. They've just taken the middle outpost from Beer that was empty. And so now Beer's just kind of like chasing them around the outpost area while the entire top of the map is red.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is really good map control for 75 DC right now. It's actually... Okay, well, a few things are flipping. But if they're holding this much of the map and they've got the disruption, I mean, Beer just has to lock in on fast arcs. And that's their whole plan. We still have a lot of skills on the Beer bar that we don't know what they do yet. We don't know what they are. If you had to guess, what's in the tank?
There's got to be To the Death, and there's got to be Time Warp, right? To the Death and Time Warp are going to be two of the skills. You hope the last skill is No March, and Beer has traditionally used No March. Pretty much always Beer has No March. So I think it is just Time Warp, To the Death, and No March. And, you know, what Beer really wants to do at this point is not have to use a lot of those skills mid, and they need to start casting some of these No Marches themselves, because they are really struggling on the sides. They're just getting outscored quite hard on the sides at this point. Just in the last few minutes, 75 DC has essentially cut the lead almost in half. It was about 3,000 points. Now it is about 1,700 points. So, yep, still a very close match here. But we do see that Beer is mobilizing with bigger numbers mid. But 75 DC, they're attacking. They're attacking in a lot of different places. They're attacking on the bottom side as well, at the Sky Altar on the bottom side. Looks like they're probably going to sack this second mid as well.
This is pretty exciting the way this match is unfolded. And I like that it looks like this could be a very close final score that we build towards. I mean, we're almost halfway through the match, and it's a 2,000 point game. Less. This is exciting.
This is crazy stuff, honestly, Chiz. I'll just like put my cards on the table here. I was extremely impressed with Beer last week, and I'm thinking about it from the perspective of like the international server did not do very well last year in the Grand Prix compared to the Chinese server, and Beer's dominant in the mid was kind of like making me think, okay, maybe this team, you know, if they're like the strongest mid team in the entire league, maybe they just are going to have a great result. But here is 75 DC pulling out some tricks, pulling out some successful fancy plays, and Beer is definitely in a bit of trouble right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they do have the lead, so we'll see how much trouble they're in. But you're right that look at the points per minute. 330 to 530 for now. But that scoreboard just keeps getting closer and closer and closer.
Yep, and as this mid fight is kicking off, 75 DC is looking like they're probably going to flip the Sky Altar on the bottom side. So they are flipping buildings as they sort of juke Beer here at the mid.
Yeah, they're definitely just stalling. They're not fighting.
They're stalling. And they're not using sneaky tactics, right? A lot of times in this situation, 75 DC has used sneaky tactics to like delay the arc capture. But it's interesting that they have not used sneaky tactics, almost like they're saving their points for something else.
You see every percentage of march speed here really matters, huh? Every single percentage of march speed as they're running
just that
around.
They can get away. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Doing a little ring around the rosy here in 2025 in our Arc battle. Ring around the Arc of Osiris. And here we go. Arc is now moving for Beer. As you'd expect, 75 DC now pounces on that carrier, looking to maximally disrupt them, but that belly is actually kind of cruising. Cactus with the Arc. And they're down. A lot of these folks are gummed up down here, too. They really can't do anything to contest the Arc.
No, but they've at least distracted some of the escort here. I just wonder if there's a master strategy on the 75 DC bar, if maybe that's something that they're thinking about. There's the no march from Beer, so Beer's already thinking about the side play at this point.
Yeah, no mark is a solid play in this position, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, and the question is whether 75 DC is going to mirror that no march. They could use time warp and use no march, but then they'd be done for the rest of the match. If they don't use no march, then Beer is in a good position to get some good points gain. But 75 DC is like looking really good on the map. They do have at least one Beer building, and they just lost the Beer Sky Altar.
Just watching that arc slowly go to its destination, and we kept the camera here, or I did, because I just wanted to show how disruptive this was. So the arc has now been delayed by minutes, and I guess what they're going for is enough delay to prevent one additional arc spawn by the end of the match, right? Is that the objective, do you think?
I think they're trying to stop this being a 4 arc game, right? They know there's gonna be 3. They are pretty sure they're gonna lose all 3. But if they can stop it from being a 4 arc game, then maybe they have a chance. Maybe, just maybe. Essentially, with the delay tactics they just used, they were able to tie the game up for now. For now, they've tied the game up. But when Beer does return that arc, it's gonna be a 3,500 point lead for Beer. So that's why I was like thinking about the master strategy chiz, is because I'm just like, I think 75 DC is going to have to do more than just slow down the arc.
I see that. I mean, back in the day, the way that I would potentially think about a match is that a building-oriented team would potentially need just one arc to win. Now, there's a lot more tools in the toolbox for a building-oriented team to win without arcs. But do you think there's a world here where 75 DC does go for one of these arcs? And they use that as like, okay, like, we missed all the other arcs, but this one we got, so we win.
I think they were hoping that they wouldn't have to. And that's why they did, like a lot of attacks on these altars during the mid fights. But Beer has dealt with this well enough that going into this third arc, Beer's going to have a really big lead, right? They just returned the arc. They've got a 3,500 point lead now. They're also generating more points per minute because they've got that no march on. And 75 DC just seems a little bit afraid to use another no march right now. They want to save it for later in the match. And, yeah, I think they probably do have to go for one of these arcs, Chiz, because I think we're going to be looking at like probably about a 4,500 point lead when this next arc spawns.
Yeah, easier said than done to just get one arc, and now the arc has been scored. The difference in points was really narrow, but now you can see the true diff is much bigger, and it's quite a gap now that 75 DC, pardon me, is going to need to make up.
Yep. I mean, listen, there's only 5 cities now in the start zone for Beer. They've got 25 of their players teleported forward. And just that difference of having, 25 forward rather than 20, you can see that in the way the field looks. Beer is just defending a lot of these buildings a lot better. They've held on to this Sky Altar now at the bot side for a number of minutes. They have all their buildings. It's a state of equilibrium on the map. And so Beer has just like gotten enough people forward that they're not losing the side game at this point. They were losing the side game in the first half of the match, but at this halfway point, they are no longer losing the side game.
Yeah, No Mark really has elevated their points per minute. And it's meaningful, and it's reflected not only in the points per minute, but on that bigger scoreboard. They're looking like they're pretty good, but 27 minutes is a long time in Arc. A lot can happen. I do, the longer this goes on, feel like 75 is going to have to take one of these arcs.
I think that's very likely, right? And they've only got the 2 skill slots left. And I think that has to be one. We know one is Time Warp, and then the other one is probably To the Death, thinking that they maybe want to have something for mid, and I just think like the stocking up, they have a ton of skill points, right? Like right now they have so many points, right? They have barely used any skills. They have so many points, but they just don't have any skills to use those points on. If you're going to do a side game, Chiz, I always wonder, like, maybe you throw something like hard push on. You have like no march and hard push, 2 side skills, and then you use both of them twice in the match. And maybe that gives you the side advantage that you need. You know, if you're going to have to the death on the board, you kind of have to win a mid fight, or at least compete for one of the mids.
I do think that the limitation of which 6 skills you put onto the bar makes it more spicy. You can only have so many options at any one moment in time, which I like. It like, you know, has the opportunity to really define what your strategy ultimately is and give you an edge. And I like the balance of needing to do what you're going to do versus counter the opponent. As an example, the use of Desert Storm was really interesting earlier. Didn't catch everybody, though, funny enough. And I thought it was really sneaky the way they had half going forward, half going backward. It's almost like they predicted where that Desert Storm would be played.
It was a great dodge. It was really a pretty cool dodge by 75 DC there. But, you know, if 75 DC does try to fight one of these mid fights straight up, I can tell you that in that situation, Desert Storm's going to land right on top of them, and it's going to chunk a bunch of damage right off the top of of like half the 75 DC marches. And, you know, Beer has just really used Desert Storm extremely well in this Grand Prix so far. And they've just got a mid-focused bar that they can use all of it, right? Whereas 75 DC's bar is a little bit all over the place because they know they have to take risks. And we're starting to see the limitations of that scattershot approach because, for example, Sneaky Tactics really has not gotten much value for them at this point.
Well, I zoom out here and we get a look around. And
Beer's looking good on the bottom side for sure. Look at this.
yeah, we've got a lot that they've captured. Up top, the guy's doing what I thought he might do, is take the outpost, right? These guys that are stuck. I mean, so now that we've seen some of the match unfold, how do we feel about these 3 players? Are they trapped? Or are they causing damage, right? It's like that famous quote. I'm not trapped here with you. You're trapped here with me.
Exactly. What was that guy's name? Rorschach?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're doing a okay tribute to the kind of impact that Rorschach has in a prison. You know, they are getting what they can out of this. I think going for the outpost is really good. And they did get a nice push from denying teleports earlier on. So I think they got what they could out of it.
But did they get like an arc contention worth of value?
Well, that just assumes they could ever win an arc in the first place, right? Like if they were never going to win a mid fight.
Wow. So you're like, hey, look, they weren't going to win it anyways, so we had to do the next best thing.
Well, I think, you know, I think that's a fair thing to say because they're calculating the same thing, right? They haven't competed for either of the arcs yet. But I think as we look, you know, to this next arc, a couple minutes to go before it spawns, I think in this case, 75 DC is going to, they are going to compete for this third arc for sure.
Yeah. Here comes a rally going through here, the SA rally. By the way, what do you think of the rally and garrison meta in Osiris at this point? Like, is there some garrison that you've seen be dominant? I feel like we're seeing more variety now than we used to many years ago as to what the garrison and rally choices are, right? Like sometimes it's infantry, sometimes it's cavalry.
You know, I think that in the Osiris League, we saw a decent amount of Gorgo and a decent amount of Hero YSS. It seems like in the Grand Prix, people are really favoring Eleanor because it just makes things simpler to like get those cavalry reigns in very quickly. Look, I think it's cool that like cavalry has a role as rallies and garrisons in this game mode, because honestly, in KVK, cavalry really doesn't have all that much of a role. So in that sense, I like it, but I don't think there's a ton of variety, honestly. I think it's a lot of Attila Subotai and a lot of Eleanor Hera.
Okay. Hera, man. I recently have been saying, maybe over the last 6 months, I've been saying that in KVK, you only use Hera if you want to lose KVK.
Yes, that is it. That you were pretty early on that, actually, and it's a good call. But here's the engage, like 75 DC running right into Beer, trying to catch them off guard. They are getting this fight off before Beer is able to cast Desert Storm, but they're fighting on Beer's side of the maps, and the sad faces so far are all on the 75 DC side.
They attacked a larger number of players.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, they are getting free hits on all of them, which is really weird. And I think that's in part because they waited too long to get there for the arc. There's Time Warp. There's No Mark.
Interesting that neither team has cast to the death here. Neither team has really dumped all that many skills.
It feels like Beer was late, and they panicked and had to just rush through and take a ton of damage. But there weren't enough 75 DC people to capitalize on that.
Yeah. I mean, 75 DC panicked also by engaging where they did. They almost should have, like, formed a gauntlet and just, like, waited.
Yeah, I'm surprised they engaged when they did, but that must be because they wanted to reset for No Mark anyways. And do damage. Do you see what I mean? Like, they already had given up this arc the moment they did that engage the way they did, right? Like,
right. I mean, why not cast to the death when you go in there, right? It was pretty interesting.
they're still saving it. I mean, there's going to be one more arc, but is it going to matter even?
There is. Yeah, that's the thing. Beer's just going to have such a big lead at this point. They're going to be up about 7,000 points after this arc. The map is slightly in 75 DC's favor, and they do have No March on. I mean, they do have No March on right now, so they are, going to be getting a lot more points. 75 DC is essentially mitigating the damage of this mid, but the thing is, Beer will have another No March later on in the match as well. So,
I wonder if you're Beer, do you even score this arc right away? You just hold this? You just say, you know what? We got 3K lead. We got an arc in pocket. We chill.
I think that, Beer can probably win the game if they just hold this arc the rest of the way. I think that gives them, like, a very good chance.
There's sneaky tactics. Do you know what occurred to me? Okay. Stay with me on this. You ready? Oh, here we go. Master strategy. What I was suggesting, they're grouping up for it. Here we go. What I was suggesting is that because they put the players up at the obelisk in the upper right, the arc always has to go down to the left. And I wonder if there's some sort of trap they could set up for this. And here we go.
Look at how many Beer are just camping this. They're spawn camping them. They are spawn camping 75 DC.
To the death.
And then casting to the death as they walk out. Oofa.
Yeah, that is savage. To the death. That was really unexpected. To me, that means this is the last arc. Right?
Well,
they hold it. They cap
Beer
it.
Might do a hold my beer kind of thing here. Like they kind of did a hold my beer with that master strategy play right there. And they might do a hold my beer by returning this arc and going for a fourth one. Just feeling so confident that at this point they're handling everything that 75 DC is throwing at them.
I need to like rewind and like watch the footage to see like, did they know how many people were escorting that carrier or not? Because we have vision of everything. But if they didn't I cannot believe that Beer put all that escort on the carrier. Like, how many ARC games have I been like, I can't believe they're not escorting the carrier? And like, Beer is like, nah, we escort our carriers, ladies and gentlemen. We escort these carriers because I guess they knew with 9 points on the bar, like there was still danger, and there was.
Yeah. Yeah, we were saying, like, why didn't they cast To the Death when they went in? It's because they didn't have To the Death on the bar. They had Master Strategy. And Beer probably deduced that,
Jeez. That is wild. That is so wild.
You know what? The thing is, Beer put... And we were kind of, like, circling around this, Chiz, where you were like, can they just hold this arc? Because I'm thinking right now, I'm like, was that Master Strategy good? Like, couldn't they have held the Master Strategy for the 4th arc? But like you rightly said, Beer could just hold it and win the game that way. So Beer sort of like backed them into a corner where they had to use Master Strategy in that situation, and it just wasn't that good of a spot.
This is a very rapidly narrowing gap in points, by the way. No Mark is doing its work. 1,040 points per minute for 75 DC. But you would expect we see No Mark again anyways from Beer, right?
Yeah, I think, they've got 4,000 points in the bank with this arc return. That gives them a 5,000 point lead. And then they probably have they have the ability to cast No March again in this match. Whereas 75 DC at this point, they are tapped out. Their No March is done. So yeah, it does look like a very close score at the moment. And we do have to think about Gatherers as well, right? We do have to think about Gatherers and the impact the Gatherers can have on this match.
But the impact that would be in favor of Beer potentially, because we know that because 75 DC has stocking up, they've been cashing them in as they go, right?
Yep, they've been cashing them in as they go. They've already got 3,000 points of gathering, right? So yeah, I even if they have a couple more gatherers than Beer, it's probably just a push. Like at best, it's a push for 75 DC on the gathering front. So Beer is in a good position here, but 75 DC has definitely gummed things up in this match and made it pretty darn interesting.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this leaderboard, 75 DC is about to be ahead for the first time, but down an arc. This is going to be a very close match, it would seem. Although maybe, just maybe, there's enough up the sleeve for Beer that it will not be that close in the end, I suppose. We'll see.
Yeah, I think if Beer were nervous, they would return this arc. But at this point, it does feel like they're just going to hold it to where this will be the last arc of the game. And they're just going to hope to hang on here. At this point, both teams realize, okay, now this is all of a sudden there's a side game, It was an Obelisk game at first, then it was a mid game. Now it's just a pure side game. 75 DC needs to be quite dominant on the sides if they're going to have a chance in this thing.
Well, they are literally within hundreds of points of taking the top of the leaderboard, and they are winning the points per minute. But down that arc, how are they? If you're 75 DC, how do you make up this arc worth of points?
Well, you win on the sides. Listen, they've flipped both outposts, 2 out of 3 outposts, and the third one isn't generating points. That's a super big deal. That's a building. That's essentially a building that 75 DC has. And you just combine that outpost captures. Oh, look at that. Arc returned by Beer.
Yeah, Beer's panicking a little, I think, on the closeness of this game. And it's like, okay, we got to go for another one. I mean, they might not know Mark. Maybe they do another.
Maybe they hold the points for.
They could do that.
Well, they'll still cast Time Warp. They'll probably still cast Time Warp and then use To the Death again, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But like, there's no cards up to 75 DC sleeve anymore. They're all revealed, right? That's the weirdness here for them, is they've got no tricks left that I'm aware of. I don't know what other tricks we're coming up with here. What do they got?
Don't have tricks, but they have outs. They have outs. They have a 4th arc. They can just win the 4th arc. So, Beer is making a choice. They're making a conscious choice here.
But how do they win the fourth arc, bro? No to the death option? I don't know, man.
Well, you disrupt the approach. I mean, look, they've got some good attacks here. They've got a very good attack on this desert altar at this point. Maybe they take this desert altar and then they hold it for longer than Beer expects. You know, they reject the next approach by Beer, and you just get them off kilter. You've already got them a little off kilter where they thought about not returning the arc, then they do return the arc. So if you're 75 DC, you just try to keep them off kilter, and then you try to win a mid fight. I mean, hey, at least you got a chance. 11 minutes left in this game, and 75 DC still has a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this in so many matches, but oh, this person's not in the node. I've said this so many. Whoopsies. I've said this so many times, but it's so advantageous to be in the position of having choices. Beer, they could take the arc and win. They could take the buildings and win. They got ways to win. But in that regard, they're unpredictable. But 75 DC, they're pretty predictable at this point. They have to go middle. They have to take arc. And before that happens, they need to not surrender too many points. Right?
Yeah, it's a tough spot for 75 DC for sure. Beer has all the options. Go mid, don't go mid. Use to the death, use no march, you know. This is to make it to the... Yeah, go ahead.
What would you do if you're Beer? What are you doing? You are now the leader of Beer. What do you do?
I just go mid. I go mid, you know.
You go mid.
If 75 DC wants to try to take these buildings, I do go mid. Really what 75 DC is going to want to do is they're going to try to win the sides and then just delay the crap out of the arc and make it so Beer can't return it before this match is over. There's only a 5-minute window for Beer to return this arc. That's plenty of time, but maybe with sneaky tactics, 75 DC can delay that thing. But if I'm Beer at this point, I'm going straight forward and I'm just going to win the fourth arc and return it as quickly as I can.
Yeah, I mean, they scored the arc, so I think they go mid, they use to the death, they make sure they hold the arc, if not score it. And if you're DC, I mean, yeah, they use stocking up, but like, what are they going to use their points on?
Yeah, it's a tough bar.
Where even can they spend their points? Just dust up and sneaky tactics, right?
That's it. I mean, sneaky tactics is good for delaying. It's good for delaying. It's the master strategy. The master strategy was unfortunately not a good skill for this match.
Not so masterful?
Yeah, not so much strategy in that skill
not
choice.
Not so strategic. Yeah. Yikes. I mean, that's... Oh, God. When master strategist is neither masterful nor strategic, it's a tough situation. And that is in part, I think, because of Fog of War, which I was attributing earlier to being such a dynamic and exciting part of the way that this game mode works.
Yeah, definitely. They didn't realize that they were just walking into half the Beer player base there.
I cannot believe I have been saying for so many years, escort the carrier, and like Beer proving that, as it turns out, escorting the carrier, not such a bad idea. Oh my gosh. I mean, imagine it. Remember I said earlier, 75 DC just needs one of these arcs, and like the master strategist sneaky tactics combination is exactly that play. Like, that play has been made, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly think I'm criticizing their bar, but like, actually, this is probably the bar that 75 DC needed to win the match. You know, they used sneaky tactics to steal the Obelisk, and if they had just used master strategy in a better situation, like I said, during that second arc, I was like, I feel like a master strategy is coming during that second arc, where there was a much lighter escort, a much lighter escort for that second arc. Use master strategy there, maybe you steal it.
Yeah, I mean, they had to go for the third arc because I guess they were worried that it would be held and they wouldn't get another chance. Is that what it is?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and what I think is really interesting about how the match could have unfolded is that I really like the sort of long con of like, these armies are here, these cities are here, not actually to take this obelisk, not even to be disruptive, not even to take the teleports, but to force the arc carrier to always go to the other side of the map. I actually love that if that was actually kind of like the long con. And then you do something to take advantage of that and steal the arc. That would have been so cool if it worked out that way.
Yeah,
Do you see what I mean?
And also, like, think about it. If you get like 5 cities into that obelisk, that's 15 marches that you can use for master strategy, right? Like you got a few people from the home obelisk, those 15 players, they all teleport to the bottom side, and all your bottom armies are already there, and that's just a better master strategy.
Yeah, like if they'd gotten more players in, like imagine they got 6 players in, then you get like 30 marches rolling in that teleport. Holy. Yeah, I think there's something there.
My math is bad. I'm sorry. Yeah, you need 5 or 6, and that's the whole master strategy. That's 30 marches.
Right. Like that. Like if that would have been such an interesting trap to set up. It's funny how our comments, like, we danced all around all these possibilities, but then they all come together for that like really interesting play. But you called out like, well, it's still valuable to take the teleport spaces, but they can't go anywhere really. And what an interesting way to make that disadvantage not a disadvantage, right? There's Desert Storm. This is the big fight. This is what you've been waiting for. This arc determines the match. This arc determines who advances in the Grand Prix. 75 DC backing up. Tower setup, plinking away, Pew Pew Daddy, aptly named. Now everyone out of range, single siege tower controlling the entire open field position, lol. And Beer moving in. Here it is. The mid fight that defines the winner of this match. Dust up for 75 DC.
Beer primed the pump with Desert Storm. All those marches were pretty low from 75 DC before this fight even started. No to the death from Beer, I don't think. Dust up from Beer. Interesting. Beer kind of just holding on to some of their skill points here, not dumping the kitchen sink on 75 DC, thinking they don't need it. They might just be good with dust up here.
And they are. And they are. Yeah. And they are. Also, maybe they don't have time warp on the bar. How crazy would that be?
I mean, it's possible. It's possible. You're right. It's possible. It is possible.
You think they've got it though, right? They gotta have it. It's really good.
Yeah, they've always had it in the past, so I assume they do. We'll see. Maybe they'll do a courtesy no march here with 4 minutes left. At this point, Beer has got the game pretty much wrapped up, but they may do a courtesy no march just to extend the point differential at the end, or maybe they'll just keep people guessing on what that 6 skill is.
I mean, you can even see in the way these marches are moving, this is a team that escorts the carrier. Can I tell you, I respect that. After 6 or 7 years of casting Arc, a team that escorts the carrier, bless their hearts. You know what? My life is complete at this point.
Well, this is only part of what we get to enjoy about Beer, right? The escort is one part of it, but I'm going to enjoy seeing this team play against the best teams in the world, and I bet that they're going to go for the same strategy. They're just going to go for a mid-heavy strategy. And can they beat everybody? Yes, they've beaten 75 DC. They beat OWR. Beer will advance to the Grand Prix final bracket. But they're going to face stiffer competition when they get there. And can this very, very strong mid team continue to pull off this very straightforward strategy?
Well, I will say this. There's still 2.5 minutes left. But I don't know what could happen in 2.5 minutes. The whole team would need to converge on this shrine and this carrier. The carrier would need to walk dangerously close to the shrine. And in a twist of fate and perfect execution, they'd need to take the carrier and deposit it at the Shrine of War, right? That's how that would have to
these
go.
need to be the greatest Huos and Jones in the history of the game to stop this army that they're walking into.
I mean, I will say, I love that Beer actually escorts the Ark. Warms the heart to see, man. It's almost like the Ark matters. Their sneaky tactics from 75 DC. They are using that, presumably for you get speed and damage when you come out of stealth, right?
Yep. And, imagine if they can delay this thing. Imagine if they can delay this for 2 minutes.
Brother, this is the play. This is the play. The carrier, they brought the Ark to the shrine. Oh, there's time warp. Yep, beers haven't. Yep. Oh, no mark.
Interesting.
Not what I would have picked.
You want the to the death there?
I don't know. I guess how many points are we getting from no mark versus to the death? Like, I'm worried for this Ark. I am actually so hyped for what 75 DC is doing right now. They have to take the carrier. Wait, they didn't get him.
On XY.
They didn't get him.
A full health XY.
They didn't get him. They didn't get him. Now it's GG's territory, ladies and gentlemen. It's locked in. It's on the board. Final score likely to be in the realm of 42,000 to 33.5. Much closer in reality than the board will reflect, I feel. There are several things that if they'd gone the other way, this would have been even closer, or a 75 DC game. Played incredibly well by both teams. And you are right that the level of gameplay from year over year is just going up and up. People are just getting better and better. It's really impressive.
Listen, the international server was dominated pretty hard last season by the Chinese server. You hope that teams are stepping up. I think it's a little early to call that because we have not really seen the Chinese play yet. But that stage is coming next. The qualifiers are just about over, and it's time to see Beer in the final bracket.
GG's and congratulations to Beer, who will be advancing to the next bracket. 44,057 to 35,061. The bulk of those points coming from Osiris score as their differentiator. You're looking at 15,000 Osiris score for Beer, along with 25,799 of occupation score compared to the 28,874 for 75 DC. And a very impressive provision score from 75 DC, 6,187 to 3,258. But the total kills being a major differentiator here in the open field effectiveness of Beer. Before we head back to the caster's booth, you have any thoughts that you want to add about this final scoreboard?
Beer are who we thought they were. And I think it's nice that 75 DC challenged them today. They forced us to see they forced Beer to show us a little bit more than we had seen in the past. But at the end of the day, Beer was as strong as we expected, and they got the job done.
There it is. Let's head back to the booth, and then we'll recap all of the matches that just wrapped up. All right. This was incredibly hype. I'm going to grab the scores from the other matches because I was not following along with how those were unfolding. Let's see who is advancing from these teams. Let's see here. Looks like on my end, I'm still waiting for a couple of the results to show up on the board, although we kind of know
I think
who
you can
just
click.
won.
You can click on the swords, and it'll show you the
Final result. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so let me pull that up then, and let's get a peek here. Boom. All right, so we've got, oh yeah, Some of these, the swords are still up, but who won? So in Group A, in the international team, hey, see, there's my alliance. GB77. Who won the final score?
We might not be able to see that one because they are Redline and Plato are casting the 2370. Oh, there you go. You got
it.
It
Looks like I can see it. 57,000 to 22,000. Actually, big W for my alliance. There it is. They are advancing. Congratulations, 2377 on advancing. They battled against 16 OT. JST also. Wait, are they advancing? Wait.
No, because your alliance beat JST in week 1, so JST is out.
Okay. I did get that right.
Group A was a very tough group.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I mean, all these teams feel pretty impressive, but that is an interesting point. So because 2377 beat JST and they have the same record.
Well, it's just not showing the third win for 2377.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Okay.
2377 has 3 points.
Oh, so the JST wins on the board, but the 2377 win is not yet.
Yes. Yep.
Got it. All right. I'm with you now. Group B. What do we got? DQ. Okay. Blowout. No show.
Yeah, no show from
211. Titan stole my bike. They stole more than your bike. They stole your mobile devices. Couldn't play.
Nope.
And
They stole your
then
heart.
next, GPX versus the Council of Ducks. Must have sent the Flying V with that final score. So there it is. So we're looking at DQ advancing, right?
Yep. DQ 39 advancing, beating the Council of Ducks in that group. So a solid performance there from DQ 39, making it into the final bracket.
There you go. And then in Group C, well, this one's pretty clear. It's on the board. Nice and easy for us to see. It's the 748W. The 748 Warriors advancing with a solid win here. There it is.
They looked very good. They were very strong in week 1 against 1188. Also beat 1093's B team. And they also were the second strongest international team last year in the Grand Prix. So 748 back in the main bracket again.
There it is. Really hype results here. I'm amped to cast more. Subscribe if you haven't already. You're on the official Rise of Kingdoms channel, where more Grand Prix gameplay will be streamed. Brian, anything you want to add?
No, Chiz, it's always great casting with you and looking forward to doing it more as this tournament goes on.
Huge. Well, congratulations to all teams that are advancing. I enjoyed casting with you as well. And until next time, you know what? I'm going to say it. You have fun smashing your enemies. We'll see you in the next cast, everybody. Take care.